everybody, this is Dwayne with Lilley's Landing Resort Marina. I believe it's Wednesday, the 15th of April. That used to be tax day once upon a time. I don't know if it is anymore or not. They've got that 15,000 CFS flowing. It's kind of windy out here today. I came downstream and Cooper Creek boat launch is just right there. I said the wind is blowing is pretty good. I'm going to try dragging that 762 crankbait and French pearl on a drift rig. I've got a 3/16 ounce weight set up, and about 3.5 feet below that is that model 762 crankbait. That one is painted in French pearl, but we sell them in the shop up there in a shad color. They have been working really well this last couple days. I had a guide trip this morning, took a couple of people out, and we boated a 25-inch 8-pound brown on this morning. Blake was out fishing this morning, and I think they said he boated 2 or 3 browns in the 20+ inch range on the 762 this morning. So it has really been a good bait. Our brown was caught up in the trophy area, right about the rebar hole, just behind that island there, dragging past that. And then Blake caught all his fish down here by Monkey Island, which has been kind of a hot spot. I came out Easter morning and was able to fish for 2.5 hours, and I fished from Cooper Creek down to Monkey Island, just one drift. And I hooked into 3 big browns, landed 2 of them. One was 20 inches, one was 21 inches. The third one, I was trying to take a picture, net the fish, and reel it in all at the same time. And I lost him right at the boat. He had one last jump in him and jumped and spit the lure right at the boat. So that was a fun morning, and that was all throwing the 110+1 jerk baits against the bluff bank over here. That might have been a bite. That was a pretty good thump. So on this lure, of course, it floats a little bit. That weight is getting it down on the bottom, and you feel it ticking along the bottom. Every time I feel a tick or two, I like to just kind of pop it, just a tiny bit. That gives that lure just a little bit more action in case something is coming after it and can entice them fish to bite it. Quite a few boats out today. A lot more boats than I've seen in a couple of weeks out here, which is good to see. Some people are getting out and enjoying these fish. It's a great way to socially distance yourself and kind of be safe out here in these times we have. And they have not stopped stocking fish on Lake Taneycomo. Shane Bush, the fisheries biologist, made a post on trout fishing Lake Taneycomo Facebook page last night and verified and confirmed that they are still stocking fish on Lake Taneycomo, whereas the trout parks, they are not stocking. So there are a lot of fish to play with out here. That was a pretty good bump. That had me excited there for a second. I'm cheating over towards the shallow side. I'm not quite in the middle of the lake. And as we go down through here, I might scoot over a little bit more into the bluff side. I thought about trying to do a drift down to Monkey Island. I'm not sure if we'll actually go that far or not. It just kind of depends on what happens. And I might run out of things to say here pretty quick. So it could be a pretty boring one cast. Yesterday and the day before, they were working on Table Rock Dam, and so they would shut down the generators and make up for the flow by opening up more floodgates. And that dumped quite a bit of warm water species into the system: shad, bass, white bass, things like that, crappie. So there are some opportunities. There is, well, it ran for a second and then it stopped. I don't know if I got hooked up on the bottom, but it was running for a second, but I think I lost that. So nothing officially on the one cast. I did bring another rod, and I brought a few more lures just in case something like this would happen, because there are some snags through here. And it looks like I just lost the lure, and I've got some moss on there, so I'm thinking that was just a snag with some fishing line on it, because it kind of gave a little bit. I'll go ahead and tie another lure on real quick. The wind is blowing pretty good, so we'll probably kind of spin around and all kinds of crazy stuff out here, but once I get the lure back on, I'll get it straightened out. Let's see. I'll go back with that 762. Back in French pearl again. That's just part of dragging baits on the bottom. You're going to lose a few. It's just part of fishing, so kind of be prepared for that. Don't let it upset you. It just happens. If you're not getting down there on the bottom, you're not going to catch a fish. So I tell people, no guts, no glory. Get it down there, get it in there, get it where the fish are. I'm just doing the improved clinch or improved cinch, however you like to say that. Spinning around 6 or 7 times. Bring it back up through the loop. And got my handy dandy trusty Leatherman. You should never leave the house without one of these. I feel naked if I do. It's got a nice pair of scissors on there that I like to cut that with. My teeth aren't as strong as Phil's and everybody else's that likes to bite that line. All right, so let me get straightened back out here so we can drift. That wind is blowing kind of out of the southwest, southwest. So it's pushing it right down the lake, so you're getting a faster drift than you normally would. And if it gets too fast where you don't get on the bottom at all, you can always nose the boat into the wind and bump that trolling motor some to counter that, so that you are drifting about the speed of the current. You get to drifting too fast, it just pulls everything up off the bottom. You won't lose any lures that way, but you also won't catch any fish that way. That felt like I might have mossed up. That got kind of heavy there. When I'm fishing these up top, they've been working real well up top, dragging them on the bottom. Lots of moss up there. I bring it in every 2 or 3 minutes and do a moss check. Down here, there's not quite as much moss. There's a nice fish just rose right there. That's a real good fish. Reminds me, I was boating up through here this morning and a great big one surfaced right down here too. We're right in about the area that happened this morning. I'm just checking for moss because it did feel like it got a little heavy, but there's nothing on it. I'd rather know I'm fishing with an unmossed bait and reel it in a little bit more often than to be dragging it the whole time and not know if you're really fishing it because you're dragging a big clump of moss or not. Right in between these docks on Easter morning is where I caught one of those browns. That was my first fish of the day. Kind of a nice surprise. It was really cold this morning. There was frost on my boat and a little bit of ice out. Fog on the water. But the sun is starting to warm things up. We've just got a pretty strong wind that's keeping it just a little bit on the cool side. If that ticking, it's normally a pretty sharp tick, 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 tick. If that ever softens up where it's kind of more of a thud, 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 you know you've picked up some moss. If you're doing a lot of ticking and then all of a sudden you're just not getting bottom at all, you've probably picked up moss. Sometimes it helps to take that belly hook off to keep from losing so many lures. Generally that fish is going to come in from behind and hit it, so you don't really have to worry about losing a fish because of no belly hook. There's a person on a kayak over there in the slough. I probably saw 10 boats out here this morning. I talked to one of them, a friend of mine from Willard. Him and his boy were fishing. They said they caught about 16 fish this morning. So they were doing pretty good. They were dragging shad flies and these little crankbaits. There's another bottom fish. Wow, I lost that one too. Apparently there are a few snags through here. I have not drug any baits through here in a while. I've strictly been fishing it with the jerk bait, jerking it method, and working more closer to the bank. But it's bright sun out right now, and that's going to kind of push the fish a little bit deeper out in the middle, I'm thinking. That's why I'm staying out here. So here we go, another lure. Just keep adding to the pile out there. If you got any scuba equipment, come out here and find these lures. That'd be fun. All right. That wet to tighten it up, and then get my Leatherman out again. Okay, all set one more time. I can lose, probably 3 or 4 more of these 762s in the French Pearl before I'm out of them, so we're good for a little bit longer. I don't know if that's called Taneycomo Heights or Taneycomo Acres, that little subdivision with those docks right there. But it's just a quarter mile down from Cooper Creek, and then we'll start getting into the bluff, and down around the bend we come to a set of power lines that come across, and another 500, 600 yards past that is Monkey Island. Those are kind of some reference points down through here. In the summertime, when they're running a unit or 2 of water, this bank, this shallow side behind me, is a pretty good place to fish that pink power worm under a float. I've done quite well there in the past. And then I really don't do too much fishing from here on down. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year I get down below this area. I did get a report from a gentleman the other day that he said he went up into Roark Creek and caught a bunch of fish. I just imagine those are the stockers that the MDC has been letting go, getting out of this colder lake water, getting up that creek water, which is a little bit warmer. That typically happens this time of year. A great way to fish for them fish would be jig fishing, spoons, pink power worm under a float. Would all be great ways. Those fish are usually pretty bitey, chasey, like to chase things. That's why the spoons and the jigs can work so well in there. That wind is really pushing us through here. Here comes another boat. So I might have to nose into the wind here so I can get some bottom action. Yeah, we caught an 8-pounder this morning. We caught a good one this morning.
All right. On a crankbait drifting or a?
Dragging the crankbaits on the bottom.
Actually, one cast, man, I'm watching it. This ground sounds crazy.
It's been really good. I'm doing the one cast. Yep. Yep. Good luck. That's a one cast fan there. He's out here trying to chase these browns. That wind is not only pushing us down, but across a little bit too. So I am going to really have to nose into it to kind of counter that some. Otherwise, it's going to blow us right into the bluff bank there, and that's probably really loud on the microphone. I'll cover that up some. Finally getting some good bottom action. I'm gonna have to turn around the other way here. Ooh, that felt like a bite. Blake actually caught a fish this morning. Yeah, there's bottom. That it pulled free. When he brought it in and netted it, it had not only the lure he was fishing with, but one of his lures that he had lost the other day. So he got one of his lures back this morning out of a fish's mouth. Good piece of moss on there. That wind just got real crazy right there. All right. When I'm fishing big jerk baits down through here or up in the trophy area, it's not a numbers game by any means at all. There's days where you can catch quite a few numbers on it, but typically it's quality versus quantity. You're looking for that one big fish, and it's kind of hard for a lot of people to make that commitment to stick with it. And if you're fishing those big baits properly, the longer you do it, the more likely that you're going to put a big fish in the boat. But you just got to make the commitment of sticking to it. And it was probably one of the hardest things for me to transition to doing, because I've typically been a jig fisher my whole life. And as I'm fishing an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours without a bite, thinking that if I just picked up that jig, I know I could catch a fish. But making the commitment to sticking to those bigger baits, looking for that big fish, has really paid off over the last couple of years for me. And it's one of my favorite things to do anymore, is come out here and just fish for that one big fish. Kind of getting close into the bluff, so I'm going to pull us off the bluff just a little bit. It sure is turning pretty out here. All the green, it's nice to see again. And I think I caught bottom one more time. And it pulled free. I'll bring it in and clean it off. Just twisted one of the hooks a little bit up on the line. Not too bad. All right. This is kind of a relaxing, easy way to fish versus the jerkbait fishing is very aggressive and can be very tiring and wear a lot of people out. A lot of people wear out, oh, usually within 2 hours. I'm going to turn this camera over this way just because of the way the wind keeps pushing us. And it might have you looking into the sun a little bit, but you'll be able to see what's going on a little bit better. And I won't have my back quite so much to the camera, hopefully. Turn it just a little bit more this way. I'll be out of view here. There we go. Pretty close up to the bluff, right in there. The river channel, I would imagine, the old river channel. Getting some good bottom action through there. Lots of nice ticks. Ooh, that's a real good tick there. All right, well, I've run out of things to say, I guess. I think I've updated y'all on just about everything I know that's going on right now. I'm not hitting bottom at all. I might have mossed up there. It kind of feels heavy. We'll try this another 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, there's moss everywhere. On my sinker mainly, on my weight. And after that, we'll call it a one cast. Not real exciting this afternoon. Well, there's a big one just jumped right over there on the bank. That'd be what I would be targeting with a jerkbait, throwing right up there against the bank and jerking that just as soon as it hit the water. And finally just hit the bottom. Just another minute or two and we'll call it a show. All right, everybody. Doesn't look like we're going to get one today. We sure do thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Like and share us on Facebook if you get a chance.